Good afternoon, Harlem and Harlems of the world. I'm Terrie Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. And as many of you know, Harlem Network News, we started at the onset of COVID, and we're still here. A part of why we jumped in the deep water is that Black folks were walking around Harlem thinking that Black people could not get COVID. And then the body bags came. So we have really continued to assure that people are informed, engaged, and called to action. And as time goes on, it's more critical than ever. There's a lot of misinformation. There are a lot of people that are delusion. So we feel that our job is to just assure that folks are informed. Today, we have one of our mayoral candidates here with us. We are honored to have her. She is on the Democratic ticket. And as you know, the Democratic primaries are happening as we speak. We had early voting. And if you have not voted, tomorrow is the day of the primary. And obviously, there's a lot of distractors going on in the world. President Trump has done airstrikes on Iran, on nuclear weapons, and this is connected to support Israel. Meanwhile, this is all of our tax dollars. There is so much going on, but we, the people, need to really take back the power, as we are the people paying the taxes. So, without further ado, I want to introduce our mayoral candidate, one of our mayoral candidates, and that is in the person of the Speaker of the City Council, and that is our Adrienne Adams. And I'll let you introduce yourself, tell us who you are, whose you are, and the significance of you being Speaker of the New York City City Council. And she's also represents Queens at District 28. And I'm a Queens girl. I grew up near Rochdale Village. So I know that walk, I know that turf. I also was bused, so I went to school in Jamaica State. So I got a big view. And, family grew up in Harlem and I came back to Harlem. So we got this. So just let us know who you are and whose you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely, Terry. Thank you so much for having me on and introducing me to your audience. Those who don't know me, I am City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams. I am the first Black Speaker of the New York City Council, and I'm so proud to lead the first women majority and most diverse city council in the history of the city of New York. Our body is the largest in the nation that is actually governed by a majority of women. And it has been my esteemed honor to do that. I was the first woman elected to represent District 28 in Southeast Queens. I represent the areas of Jamaica, Rochdale Village, South Ozone Park, and South Richmond Hill. And I have been that representative since 2017. I can't believe it, almost 10 years already.
Mm.
And I got into the mayoral race. In March, I jumped into the mayoral race, quite frankly, because our city is in distress. And Terry, when I saw four deputy mayors resign at the same time, that was a major dysfunction within our administration that I could no longer ignore. We have had so much scandal and trauma from the administration, and we've all been feeling it in New York City. But when that happened, something just snapped. I knew that the mayoral race was going on, and I could not sit back and do nothing about it. I had to get into this race and offer myself as the public servant, basically already doing the work in co-equal governance with the mayor already, knowing the agencies, knowing the commissioners, knowing the nonprofits, knowing how a budget is negotiated. We will adopt our budget and hopefully have that handshake before the 30th, as we have for these 4 years now of co-governing together, Mayor Adams and myself. So we will make that happen again. This year is $115 billion for the benefit of New Yorkers. So I am no stranger to working a budget of this magnitude. I am no stranger to knowing the players, knowing how and what the levers are in New York City governance. No other candidate in this race knows all of these levers the way that I do. So I always say, I don't need a handbook or a manual because I'm already doing the work, have already been doing the work for a number of years now. Terrie, as you said, I do hail from Queens. I was raised in Hollis, Queens, by union hands, two union workers. My dad drove a UPS trailer for over 35 years. My mother retired from correction. She was a correction officer. She retired as a captain, and she worked on Rikers Island for almost 2 decades. So I lived that life also as the daughter of a CO. And I know the language,
Okay, I hear you.
yeah.
I
Just
hear
that everyday New Yorker. That's who I am. And I keep saying, if I didn't know what my neighbors go through as an everyday New Yorker, I have no business representing them in government. And but I do. I do very, very well. Live in the same home that we raised 4 children in that are now 4 adults for over 36 years. So when I open my front door, I see what everyday New Yorkers see. When I buy groceries, I feel that pain like every single New Yorker. So I am running to make sure that my children and grandchildren stay here, to make the city more affordable, to make sure that my grandchildren don't fear getting on the train and the bus the way that they feel sometimes now going to school. So I keep on saying my tagline is, I am in this for us, because I feel what all of us feel as everyday New Yorkers.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing. Once again, I'm Terrie Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News, and I am here with our mayoral candidate in the person of Adrienne Adams, who is our speaker for City Council. And as I speak that, I know it's very huge. You are I believe, first Black women to be the
That's
leader
right.
of the City Council, so that is huge in itself. But as the speaker, what are some of the things that you've been able to accomplish? What are some of the challenges? As you said, you, in a lot of ways, city council is equally yoked with the mayor,
Right.
with the community boards.
Mhm.
So, what are some of the major accomplishments that you've made during your tenure, and what are some of the challenges that you're working to fix? And where are we with the city budget now? What's going on? Thank you.
Great questions, Terrie. Thank you so much. The main accomplishment that comes to mind the fastest is passing the City of Yes, which we have named in the City Council the City for All. Because when that proposal was brought to us by the administration, it was a broad brush rezoning proposal. Now, you know and I know that New York City is not a monolith, and all of our communities don't look and need the same things when it comes to development of housing. Harlem doesn't look like Brooklyn. Brooklyn doesn't look like Queens. Staten Island doesn't look like the Bronx. So what I did was I was able to take a look at that proposal with a magnifying glass and realize that when it came in that raw form, it would never pass the city council. But the one thing that I always told my members also is that we cannot be the council that says no when it comes to places for people to live, particularly in this homeless crisis that we're in. We are all going to have to bear the burden of that, as hard as it may be for some. So I took the proposal apart and made it palatable. I insisted on an additional $5 billion from the administration, $4 billion we got from the administration, an additional $1 billion from the governor herself that said, Adrienne, I need for you to pass this proposal. If you need that extra $1 billion to make it happen, the state will put in that extra billion. So I was able to get $5 billion to infuse in this proposal. So Terrie, in this $5 billion, I've ensured that communities that have issues of flooding, like my own in Southeast Queens, some
Right.
issues in the Bronx also, and other places across the city, some of that money will go towards building infrastructure in those communities. Some of that money will go towards NYCHA restoration and Mitchell-Lama restoration to keep our residents in their homes in spite of the fact that they may need some repairs. So that money is going to take care of repairs also in those needed residents to make sure that the residents actually have homes and they can live in their homes in dignity. Some more places where that money is going to be to expand on our City FEP's vouchers, that subsidy that is so needed to make sure that folks can move out of homeless shelters and move into permanent housing. Some more places where that money is going to be with homeowners. We don't talk about homeowners as much as we should,
Absolutely.
right? Homeowners are in need of repairs also in order to stay in their homes, to prevent foreclosure, to prevent deed theft, and everything else. So some of that money is going to go into restoration or reparation for homeowners as well. And something else, Terrie, also, we know that the mayor cut a lot of headcount in several agencies that are so vital to maintaining this city, to making sure that we've got the services that we need. One of those agencies is HPD that handles the building of all of this housing that we're going to need. So this money is going to also um, take some headcount expenses, and we're going to pay for some folks to come on in and get these jobs. So the $5 billion is going towards that and more to ensure that we do have upwards of 82,000 affordable homes going up in New York City under my leadership. So that's the main thing.
That's the
I
main
can
thing.
go on and on, but that's the
Right.
main thing.
One of the concerns, and I can say this coming out of a Community Board 10, I'm
Yep.
formerly on Community Board 10 and I, frequent the meetings at all times. But one of the concerns that people have had in terms of building affordable homes in New York City, especially given the huge disparities in the incomes for Black and Brown people and white people. I just have to say it plain
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
someone, the comptroller said, and I had to check this fact, that the mean income for Blacks is 19,000 in the state, and in the state for whites is $270,000. That's a huge, huge, huge disparity, which lets us know why we have so many different problems. But the concern is when we say building affordable houses, based on what I believe it's the AMI is,
Correct.
the ratio, how does affordable housing happen for people? Because the affordable housing is not based on all the incomes of the people in the inner city.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we address that and deal with that? Because we know that the developers are getting all kinds of tax breaks coming in, and then there's still not affordability, which is, making for an exodus of people. So
Yeah.
how do we fix that?
We've started, Terry, and that question is golden. Again, under my leadership, we have begun using the MIH, or the Mandatory Inclusionary Housing means to do this. And we have required, again, under my leadership, the deep affordability piece. So in doing that, we've been able to pass over the past couple of years some of the most prevalent housing over the past few years. We've seen 120,000 units right now in progress of going up across the city. Long Island City is one place in a deficit community that has had high rents. We're using the deep affordability. The Bronx Metro rezoning right now, we just passed that 2 months ago. That's going up using MIH as well. So we have required my members, again, under my tutelage, I'm happy to say, are taking advantage of that MIH, that deep affordability that will reach into those.
And because I always want to make sure people understand when you say MIH, what is that? If you
It's
can.
mandatory inclusionary housing, and its expression that is used when it comes to land use terms. Some people say ULURP, those of us that know what
Okay,
that acronym
gotcha.
means also, but there is a provision when it comes to land use and working through land use, when it comes to negotiating land use, and it is to hold developers responsible for going deeper into the affordability means for housing, and we have required that under my leadership. So where things in the past, developers have not necessarily been held to that accountability, my members are making the developers accountable to that deep affordability level. That's the way we're able to get around AMI, in able to ensure that those that do not make those high salaries through that AMI, which is something else we could talk about on another show, because
Right, yeah, it's a
we've
whole
got to
show.
do something on the federal and state
It's
level
a
to
whole
work
show.
with that bad boy.
It's
So
a whole show.
yes. So, but at least on the council level, we are dealing with that because, Terry, we come from the communities that we live in. So these are our neighbors that we want to stay. We want to thwart gentrification as much as we possibly can and make sure that your neighbors and mine can stay in our communities.
Okay, something else as we're moving along. I'm Terrie Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, and I'm here with our Mayoral candidate, Adrienne Adams. But there was some talk of taking away city taxes for low or the lower income people. What are your thoughts on that? Because the average person right now, if they are single and head of household, at least, about 39% of their salary is
Yeah.
going in taxes. And then if you go up a notch and you think, hey, I've made it, now they're going to take 49%. So what are some of the things that can address that? Because even working people are drowning
Correct.
of some of
Correct.
these concerns.
Correct. And I've been one of those
Yes,
working people
yes,
affected by that, particularly. So again, this is personal to me as an everyday New Yorker as well. And tax abatement is something that we're going to have to take a look at. It's going to take some courage. And that's again why I'm running for mayor. It's been a tough nut to crack. As you know, the city council and me being the speaker, it's a very, very tough nut to crack. But we are going to have cooperation on all sides. We're going to have cooperation on the mayoral side, on the council side. We even want help from our state partners to make this happen. So when I'm elected mayor, we're going to get all hands on deck and collaborate and finally make this happen. It's just too much. The cost of living is too much. Taxes are just too, we're going to have to do something with this tax code. We're going to have to take it much more seriously than it has been taken in the past. And as mayor, that's another commitment and a priority of mine.
okay, well, thank you for that. This has truly been a mayoral race that is very different than what's happened in the past. We had Andrew Cuomo jumping in late. We have had Mayor Adams, pulling out of the Democratic primary and going independent. I believe we have Andrew Cuomo, if he doesn't win the primary, going independent as well. So, where do you see yourself in this? How are you navigating all of this? And what happens? And I'm asking every candidate this. We know what will happen and what you're saying if you do win, but if you don't win, is it over, or are you going to keep moving, or are you still thinking about that? Thank you.
Wow, Terry, thanks so much for digging deep into that question for me.
Asking the hard question.
I know, as you should, my friend, as you should. So, you're right. This has been such a different mayoral race than the ones that we've seen in the past. My goodness, in so many different ways. Well, New York is different too. The things that are coming at us left and right are different also. And no matter who the mayor is, New York is going to continue to have this target on our back. So we better get ready for this. Donald Trump, I mean, this chaotic madman is just all over the place. He's now got us in a war.
Right.
But I digress. So as far as what I'm looking towards doing, I'm really looking towards finishing this primary at the top of the game. The reception that I've gotten in all communities has been amazing. I don't think that there are too many people that I've spoken to, if any, that have said that they have not ranked me on their ballots. And that is an amazing, exhilarating feeling to know that people really do know me, know my record, have seen me in the two debates and have been blown away. which I'm really proud of my performance in those debates. I've never been on a debate stage before. So those presentations have really taken hold for voters. As far as what will happen after that, Terry, I have not decided yet. As you said, we know
Okay.
that Mayor Adams and former Governor Cuomo want to go on the mayor is already on the independent line. Who knows what the former governor will do, line 1, 2, or 3 coming
Mm,
into the general. I haven't decided yet.
okay, thank you. That's a very transparent
Yes,
answer, and I appreciate that. We're winding down, but I also just want to have people know primary voting is tomorrow.
yes,
uh the 24th. It's very, very critical, even if you are disillusioned, that you get out there and let your vote count. I mean, we are speaking about ranked choice voting, and I believe when ranked choice voting passed in New York City, only 17% of the
right,
entire city voted. So if you're disillusioned or you're thinking, oh, these people don't do what they say they're going to do, at the end of the day, you are allowing other people to decide what is going to happen for you in your everyday life. That's a part of why Harlem Network News is out here. We want to make sure that you're informed. We want to make sure you're engaged, and we want to call you to action. Because at the end of the day, and it's not necessarily that it gets down to race, but race has taken on other connotations in terms of economics and all kinds of things. So if we look at the numbers of New York City, those that are disadvantaged can take the bull by the horn and become those with advantages by
right,
using their vote, by being informed, and by doing something about it, you
that's
know.
right.
And it's granted, it's very stressful. So quickly, before we just completely wind down, I want to know, what are your views in terms of the asylum situation, asylum seekers? And I use that with a quote because I don't even know if that's, I don't even want to say politically correct, but what are your thoughts about that, as we were bombarded with so many people that we were mandated to take care of, that cut into our city budget in a place where we're already bleeding? What are your thoughts on that? And then let's move on to the gun violence, the policing, and the economics, the lack of real access to small businesses. Just if you could weigh in on some of those really hot topics, and we're tired of these topics because we're not hearing the real solutions, and we're all hurting because of it. So if
I
you could
agree.
just address some of that. Thank you.
Yeah, I can address a couple of those things. As far as the asylum seeker situation is concerned, that was a crisis that came to us about 3 years ago because of the border situation and the fact that other jurisdictions were allowed to send buses to New York City in retaliation for our status as sanctuary city. So Chicago, New York, other places got an influx of asylum seekers. Where we are right now, though, Terry, is that the numbers have definitely gone down as far as the population, the census is concerned, for those seeking asylum here in New York City. So that's the good news. The other part is that, and the part that has not translated, I guess, out into our community, is that what we realized in the budget was that a lot of this money that we were told that was going towards asylum seekers, and that we were spending all of this money, that actually was not truly the case. I will give it to the administration in handling the situation. One of those deputy mayors did a fantastic job, Ann Williams Isom. She did a fantastic
Okay.
job. She was one of the 4 deputy mayors that resigned, however,
Okay.
because of the dysfunction, and we lost her. But she did a fantastic job in handling the crisis, and it was managed to the best of the city's ability. So where some criticize the mayor and the administration on how No other city had what New York City had to deal with,
To deal with.
both on
Absolutely.
right, on a volume level and on a monetary level.
Mm,
So that said, I think that it was handled to the best of the administration's ability. What I can say to you where we are right now, we are in a much better position now as we see, the bigger facilities have closed, and they're moving them now into, and have moved them into, other shelter situations, and hopefully moving into, we really, really want them to be stable because they came here to work. I met some of those buses and some of these folks that came from horrible situations. All they wanted to do was work. And if the federal government would have provided them with the working status that they needed, guess what? They would be a viable part of the economic engine of New York City right now, as millions of other immigrants are right now. They deserve the same kind of leeway to do that. So I cannot put down folks that are coming from horrible situations, coming here to look for a better situation, which has been our practice for decades and generations. And had the federal government done what they should have done, we would be, welcoming folks to open those restaurants, open those delis, open those salons, and whatever. Come into our schools and teach our students. Goodness knows we need multi-language, multilingual talent right now in our schools. That's where my head is and my perspective is right now. Um,
yeah.
you mentioned other things, real quick, as far as gun violence is concerned.
Yes, yes.
What more can we say? That this is a crisis that has overtaken our nation, particularly now in New York City with our youth, and the way that guns have come into our city, and the highest percentage right now of gun violence is coming from our youth. And that is a tragedy. And it's something else that, again, we've got these gun laws. New York has the strictest gun laws, but you would never be able to tell it. Given
Based on what's
that's
going
right. That's right.
on.
Based on what's going on, we've got to fight harder and put more pressure on our Congress members, on our Senate members, those that work in Washington, that can actually move those
Yeah.
laws along.
Yeah, it has to change,
It
and
has to.
it's this is Harlem Network News. This is illogical as we see the killing, as we see it happening, as we see the destruction. There's no understanding why people would not change the gun laws. There's nobody, and I can say that I'm a victim. My son was shot and killed 3.5 years ago on the Shinnecock Reservation. And so I know what that is. I'm a member of Harlem Mothers and Fathers Saved. So we have a lot. I mean, also
Yeah.
we had a young man come to Harlem Mothers and Fathers Saved. He's in college, but he lives in NYCHA, and he's home for the summer. And truly, he came because he's like frightened. He's got, PTSD because he has 3 friends that have been shot and killed, and he's hoping he can make it through the summer. So these are some things that are very real,
Yeah.
very, very real, in our community. The other last short question, because I cannot let you go without addressing this, but education in our communities, probably in all of New York City, and as mayor, you would be handling all of New York City, but I can particularly speak all eyes on District 5 in Central Harlem. And we clearly have 99.99% Black and Brown students. Even though there's gentrification in our public schools and even in our charter schools, we have no white kids. And that is leading for what I see as separate but not equal education.
Correct.
So, how can
Correct.
we address this? And even with the asylum seekers, these people were in 30th Street and they were brought to Harlem on a bus, and like you said, the language thing. So, if you could
Yeah.
just address that quickly and then give your closing statement, and let's move on. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Terry. Again, great question. We know that our education system has been hurting for quite a while. Again, I'm from Southeast Queens, and we have seen, our numbers as far as reading scores, math scores go down across the board in educating our children in our public schools. You know, the DOE is about the toughest nut to crack. within all city agencies. They have the largest budget out of all agencies, but the bureaucracy is intense. All right. I have tried to break through that barrier as city council speaker. My education chair, Councilmember Rita Joseph, who comes out of the DOE, we have tried and are still trying, to get through this red tape and this bureaucracy within the DOE. I can tell you, though, that as mayor, I'm going to cut through these layers. We have a lot of things that need to be trimmed as far as resources to the DOE, money that is going other places that needs to get down to where our children are. We need to vet folks that are teaching our children better also, because I see cronyism there. I have relatives that are in the in the DOE, and we need to take a really, really hard look at that. I don't think that that vetting is going on appropriately. And again, that happens on the mayoral side. So again, priority of mine, I was education chair of Community Board 12 when I first joined the community board, before I became chair of a community board. So I live where you live in the community board space and feeling that as well, Terrie. So I'm going to go right into my closing, I guess. And
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
I really
I'm
appreciate,
tight.
thank you. I really appreciate the time that we spend together. Wish I had more time to spend with you. Harlem Network family, please, tomorrow is your day to vote in the Democratic primary election. Voting is your civic duty. And I can say this to this audience, and it's cliche, but it's not cliche. Our ancestors fought for this right for us to have to vote in this country, in our cities. Please, please, please do not step on what our ancestors did for us to have this right to vote. Your vote is your voice, family. It truly is. And as Terrie said, if you give up your voice, you don't have a right to complain, because you have given up your right to complain or to voice any concern over what happens to the air that you breathe, to the water that you drink, to the traffic signs or stop signs that won't be there, to the roads that won't be fixed because your voice will not have counted in this race. This is one of the most important races of our lives in New York City. Please vote, no matter who you vote for, as council member, mayor, comptroller, public advocate. Just make sure that you get out there. Bring your water, stay hydrated. It's going to be hot tomorrow, family, but please do get out there and
Yeah,
vote.
as Spike Lee said at NAN last week, he said it may be hot, but we're not picking cotton.
That's exactly right.
I'm not going sun up to sundown.
The
So
sundown.
we can do this. Also, just lastly, if you could just share who are some of your funders and who are some of your endorsers, so people have a broader picture, in
Well,
terms of, if that's an appropriate question.
Well, my funders come from a lot of different places. We've been doing a lot of fundraisers across the board for months now. Everyone from your next door neighbor to, I don't know, unions that have endorsed. My main endorsers, of course, are uh, the baddest AG that ever walked this planet, Tish James.
All right.
I am her number one. She's been a mentor of mine for many, many years, and also the biggest union in this city, DC 37. The mighty DC 37, and our nurses also endorse, as well as several council members who I partner with on a daily basis, and other elected officials. Congresswoman AOC. I'm her number two, actually. That was a big
Okay.
deal.
Nice.
Congress member Yvette Clarke and Una Clarke.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
their number one. I mean, I could go on and on, but you can find these things out if you go to adrienneforthepeople.com. You can get a complete listing of all of my endorsers.
Okay, thank you so much, because those are some of our other listeners' concerns, in terms of the confusion and just sorting out like where are funds coming from, because they feel like people will be accountable. There's accountability. And so, you know, that's where that question is coming from. But anyway, we could continue because we're here to inform and to educate people. We thank you. I know you work with Higher Heights, which is
Yes,
kind of
indeed.
been,
Another
yeah,
tremendous
yes,
endorsement.
yes, absolutely.
Yes,
I am a 4-year member of Win with Black Women, so I know.
thank you.
But thank you, thank you, thank you. This is Harlem Network News, and we do want to say as we close this, Black Media Matters. We need your support. We are doing everything we can to really combat mainstream media because there's a lot of misinformation, and the media at this point is the message. So people hear it and then they think it's true because they saw it on television. So we got to work on that hard. You can reach us at harlemnetworknews@gmail.com or call us directly at 646-261-5397. And if in fact you have stories or you have news information, please reach out. We'll put it on. So in any case, thank you for taking the time. And I know we went a little bit over time, and I know you're moving on to many, many things, but we want people, let's get out the vote. And it says something when candidates take the time to come on a Harlem Network News. Very
We
important.
appreciate Black media. Need
Okay.
more of it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And small business. Thank you.
Small business. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Blessings, Terry. Thank you.
Blessings to you as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.